Hi there, good afternoon. Thank you all very much for joining us today. My name is Tom Carr. I'm from the product team here at Preqin, and I've got my colleague Priya from our customer services team with me as well. Today we're going to be going through how to get the most out of your free Preqin account. So before we start, a couple of bits of housekeeping and just a quick intro to how we're going to sort of run this webinar. The session is going to be recorded. You can submit any questions you have at any time. There should be a questions tab on the right of the screen for you there. We'll try and answer as many as we have time for. Any that we don't get to, one of our team will sort of follow up with you afterwards with the answers to those. So today we're going to cover everything that's included with your free accounts and also sort of demonstrate how you can take advantage of all the free data and insights that you guys have access to. So starting with our Preqin Insights, this is our new research center. I guess some of you guys will have used our research center premium before. We revamped this to make it easier for you to find the content you're looking for. So just very quickly run through this, and then we're going to go on to the sort of data side and the free data we get there. So on the top of the insights, we have research. This is where it defaults to, and this includes all the sort of research that Preqin does. Next on top, we have conferences and events. This includes a calendar of all the conferences upcoming, and also the slides from where Preqin have presented at events as well. Next on top, we have subscriber access. This is where you can go through to the data platform and the benchmarks and such that we're going to go on to have a bit of a look at in a minute. Next over, we have the help. This includes glossaries and frequently asked questions. It's a great place to go for the first first bit of help there. So first, within our research center, most of this should be fairly self-explanatory, but you can obviously search for the particular research you're after. So we recently did a big report on the future of alternatives. So if you went in here and say searched future, it'll return that report you see there on the left, and you can click through to that. So this takes you through to a little bit of a background on the report, and then down the bottom there you have the option to download that as a PDF and also download the data pack. So that includes all the charts and such are included that you're very welcome to use for your sort of own internal purposes. So let's go back to the main research center here. This research center also includes our premium publications, and there's a tab on the side to sort of filter for them. So this includes things like our global alternatives reports. So they don't quite seem to be there at the moment, but within that you have the option to go through and purchase these reports. You can purchase a single user license, or you can sort of click through and get a sort of enterprise license that'll give you sort of access for your whole sort of your whole company there as well. So included with this, and then we have the sample pages, so you can sort of see a bit more about what's sort of included in that report, and then the option to sort of purchase those as well there. Back on the main site, we have a bunch of other sort of research within those sort of types as well. So we do daily blogs, we do spotlights. So that includes all our previous editions of our spotlight newsletters. We're in the process of redesigning and transforming this all into a single monthly e-newsletter that's going to cover all asset classes. That'll be launching in the new year, and we'll follow up more information on that nearer the time. We also have things like videos down the side there as well. If we just go back up to the top of the page quickly, and I'll show you the conference and events. So this includes, like I mentioned, all the events that Preqin are going to be speaking at, all the events where we have some discount codes and such. And if you tab across to the slides, it includes previous presentations that Preqin has sort of done at these events. You can click through and download these and get all the information within them as well. So that's probably everything I wanted to just quickly show you on the Insights platform. Do feel free to dig in and have a good play around and follow up if you have any questions with that. Next, I think most important, we want to take you and show you the market data that is included within our sort of free access. So previously, this was all housed on our Research Center Premium. What we've now done is we're housing this on our Preqin Pro platform. So it's giving you more sort of usability, more data within that as well. So within this, if you sort of go across to the market data up the top there, one thing to point out, actually, we're currently running a sort of beta version of Preqin Pro as we sort of develop this and bring some new features to it, there is also the option to click to go back to the classic Preqin platform up the top there as well. Also, within your first time you use this, there's a sort of interactive user guide that sort of helps show you around the platform and such. As we're sort of undertake a tour there, as we're going to be sort of talking you through it, we probably won't go into that right now. So on the top, you've got the dashboard, the market data. This is where all the free data that we sort of provide is housed. And then filter data, which is more the sort of premium version of Preqin Pro, where you can manipulate the data and see a lot more of the granular sort of data that we sort of currently collect. If we go across to the quick links up the top there, this just includes a link back to where we were previously on the insights, a little bit more information about Preqin as well. The question mark up the top there, that's providing again some glossaries and some sort of helpful documents there. As we're going to be looking at private capital benchmarks and the like, the performance data guide there is particularly useful. So please do feel free to go there if you're looking to understand a few bit more of the terminology and such that we use. Also the option to give us feedback. And lastly, the My Preqin, which is where you can sort of customize the database, log in, manage your subscriptions. Within this, we have a switcher between a dark and a light theme, depending on your personal preference. My preference is for the light themes, perhaps if we continue with that. So if we go into the private capital benchmarks, which is where we currently are, this includes sort of access to the benchmarks and performance analysis. So it includes things like Horizon IRRs, Preqin Quarterly Index and the like. So there's a bunch of sort of good uses here for this. So for LPs, this can sort of help a lot with the fund screening process or sort of validating your investment strategy. GPs can use this to benchmark their performance against the industry, and also sort of use this data for sort of marketing collateral as well. I think what we wanted to do here is just quickly run a sort of example benchmark. So perhaps if you could sort of take our listeners through that.
Yep, sure. So if I were to run a buyout sort of benchmark here, you can click into strategy and select the relevant fund type there. You can also go into geographic focus. So I'm just going to select North America here. And you can also select vintage. So I'm just going to select 2015 vintage to have a look at the benchmark there. And then you've got the option to sort of manage your columns. So if you wanted to add any columns in, you can here. You just click on the relevant one and it will appear at the end of the page here. And then you can export that into Excel. And if you wanted to take a look at it, you could click into the benchmark name and you get a bit more about the quartile boundaries here for net IRR, net multiple, RVPI. You just click into them to find out a bit more information.
Well, I think it's probably worth actually adding at this point about a little bit about how we collect the data on our sort of benchmarks. So we collect our data from a bunch of sources. We do freedom of information requests to a public institution to get this data. Managers are increasingly sort of understanding the benefits of sharing this data with Preqin in terms of the number of sort of LP users and such that we have. Currently, we have performance data for just shy, I think, of 10,000 funds. About half this data is coming from freedom of information requests, and about half sort of directly from managers as well. It's worth just touching on a few of these sort of other areas here that aren't included within the free data, but you have the other option to upgrade to. So we have the public market equivalents there. That's particularly helpful. So private capital returns are not really directly comparable with public market indices. So a lot to do with these sort of asset classes, illiquid nature, and how capital is sort of called up and the like. So the PME index is sort of hopefully to provide a sort of more of a meaningful like-for-like comparison. So there's the option to upgrade to that. On the left-hand nav, there's also the option to upgrade and get access to my benchmarks. So this is more about sort of custom benchmarks. So you can select the individual funds that are particularly sort of useful to you or you would like to benchmark against. Also, when upgrading, you will see the constituent funds. So if we click back into that North American buyout benchmark, beneath the chart here, you will see a list of all the constituent funds, all the individual sort of named performance for those individual funds as well. And the option to click into those funds, find out more about them, about the managers, the previous sort of track records there as well. Also down the side, we have some information on Horizon IRRs as well. Let's go down to that. So this is the Horizon IRRs. We also have the option to sort of go across the rolling in 1 year. I don't know if you want to sort of touch on anything particularly else there. No, I don't think there's too much more to add there. We also have the Preqin quarterly index at the bottom there. So the Preqin quarterly index is capturing the sort of index returns earned by investors on their sort of average in their private capital portfolios. This is based on the actual amount of money invested in these sort of in these partnerships. So it shows the sort of quarter-to-quarter changes in the returns on invested capital. Anyone has any more questions, please do get in touch. We'd be happy to sort of explain that all in a bit more detail. Wonderful. So perhaps if we go back and move on to the next stage, and move on to the private capital fundraising. So this is providing a sort of bunch of breakdowns by asset class, potentially capital raised, sums of funds raised, values and sort of numbers and such. So pretty impressive. You could just walk us through sort of an example of how some of this stuff might work and be of use.
Yep, sure. So you can look by percentage of funds raised here. You can also look by sum of funds raised. You've got value of funds and number of funds. Say if you're looking at a particular asset class and the others aren't so relevant to you, you can sort of unselect them and then have a look at the asset class of interest and then export that chart as sort of an image. Just below we've got our definitions, so you can just see how we define each sort of fund type and which asset class they sit in. And then below you've got the breakdown, so the number of funds and capital raised in each year, and you can export that table into Excel as well.
Wonderful, thanks. And just to sort of point out, where we have these arrows on the side next to some of the tabs, these are where we can upgrade some of the free users to. So we have historical fundraising, looking at funds that are sort of previously being raised, the option to go in a bit more detail about sort of strategies and the like, and also to look at the funds that are currently raising. So sort of how much they're targeting, what strategies they're targeting, all this sort of information. And this again all sort of links through to the fund profiles that we have on our Preqin Pro platform. So we have profiles for more than 35,000 private capital fund profiles. So including stuff on the amount of capital raised, what they're targeting, industries, some stuff on terms and conditions as well. So sort of a whole wealth of granular information there as well. So if we go back and perhaps move on to have a quick look at assets under management and dry powder within that. So this is including a proportional and sort of absolute breakdowns by asset classes. Again, Priya, perhaps if you could just show us a little more.
Yep, sure. So if we go into the absolute breakdown here, and we can filter by asset class. So maybe if we want to take a look at AUM for private debt over time, you can just check out the figures. You can export the chart as well, and then you can also export the table here. So options are available, similar to much of the other sort of charts on the platform.
Well, again, there's the option to sort of upgrade it and get a lot more sort of granular information. So if you're having to filter by geography, filtering by vintage year, for example. Also the option to go in and look at the sort of dry powder currently within the space. So how much dry powder is there within various industries, breaking that down by sort of sub-industries, geographies and the like. So a lot more sort of power within that as well. And there's also the option to look at sort of annual capital called and distributed and a strategy and focus, a whole wealth more information that can be sort of upgraded to there as well. And so lastly, perhaps we can move on and have a bit of a look at deals. So we categorised our deals by private capital asset class. Within buyout and venture capital, we also look at the exits that are sort of held between 2012 and 2017 year to date as well. So perhaps if we go to sort of buyout and have a start there. So pretty impressive if you could just sort of again show us a little bit around that and a little bit of the uses of that.
Sure. So it's the sort of layout's quite similar. You can export the chart. You can drag and zoom into the particular years of interest. You can look quarterly and annually as well. And then we also have the exits overview here. So if you just take a look at that, you can also deselect the ones that aren't of interest and just take a look at sort of one exit type there, and then export that chart. And you've got the table below, so you can also export the table there.
Well, I think that's roughly everything we're hoping to give you sort of a very quick overview of on both the insights on the platform and also on the sort of paid on the data platform as well, to show you sort of the free stuff getting involved with it. Have we got any questions at all there, Priya?
Yeah, let's just take a look at the questions. So someone said, why did some of the quartile rankings show as NM?
Sure, that's a good point, probably worth mentioning. We don't report so IRRs and quartile rankings for funds that have closed in the last 3 years. It's sort of a bit too early and not that meaningful. Also within the quartile rankings, for us to have a benchmark, we need to have 4 funds that sort of fit within that benchmark. And then to get quartile rankings as well, we need to have sort of eight there to be able to make anything meaningful and provide of any sort of useful information for our users there.
Yeah, and then we have another question. Are performance figures net or gross?
Sure, all our performance figures are reported net of fees, so it's the exact returns that sort of LPs should get. So excluding stuff like performance and GPs and carry fees and all that sort of side. So it's the actual returns investors are seeing.
Yeah. And last question, are the AUM figures on dollars?
Yes, our AUM figures are reported, and you'll see them on the platform in USD. For funds that aren't US dollar funds, we do conversions to US dollars are made, and we do this at the sort of exchange rate at the date that the final close is held, or potentially if those funds are actually in market, we'll do it at the date that the last sort of interim close has been held there. Is that all our questions? Have got anything more at all? No?
I think that's it.
Wonderful. Well, hopefully that was useful. Thank you all very much for joining us on the webinar today. I hope it's all given you a better idea about the sort of value you can get from your sort of free Preqin account. If you would like any more information, please do feel free to get in touch with us, and we'll sort of be happy to help you with that. If you're interested in more of the capabilities of this new Preqin Pro platform we're just launching, there's an option to register for a demo back on the main website, or again, just sort of email into us and we'll be happy to set you that up. Finally, when we close this webinar, there's going to be a very, very short survey. We really would appreciate it if you could provide us with any feedback, telling us sort of how useful you found this session, is there any other particular topics you'd be interested in us doing webinars and such on, and you'd like us to sort of cover next time, and just a general feedback on whether you sort of enjoy these or any other ways you'd like us to sort of engage with you. So thank you all very much for attending, and I hope to see you all again next time.